and from DawnJacobson.com, and we are getting ready to go for the training and webinar tonight, and I'm super excited because I have Miranda Hofert on this webinar with us, and she is going to talk about staying stress-free in 2015, and then we're going to go into a little bit about how that helps you out not only in your life, but also, oh, there I am. Hold on just a sec, I'm getting some feedback. There we go. Okay, there's always technical difficulties whenever you're doing these things, so sorry about that if you just popped on. I will start over real quick. So if you didn't get the beginning of that because of the feedback, my name is Dawn Jacobson at DawnJacobson.com, and I have Miranda Hofert on the line with us tonight on the webinar, and Miranda is going to talk with us about staying stress-free in 2015. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how staying stress-free and managing stress helps you out not only in your life but also in your business, because it's that time of year when we've made all our plans and we're ready to go. We've got this whole layout of things we're going to do, and it's time to execute. And so how do you manage the stress of doing that to stay sane while you're executing on your plans? So I am going to go ahead and start out with a prayer, and then I'm going to introduce Miranda. I start everything out that I do in a webinar format or any training format at all, and if you know me and you've been on my webinars or trainings before, you'll know that about me. But I think that we are all connected and that we have a creator who has made us, and I like to invite our creator into the creative process because I feel like since whenever we are creating or doing something to grow or to put our energy out there, we're utilizing his spirit to do that, and so I like to invite him into the process. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first right up. God, I just thank you so much for who you are and for the beauty that you've created in this world and for each and every one who is watching this webinar. I pray that you would be in this process and that whatever is needed to be learned and to take away from this process or this training would happen. And God, I just know that it's not your intent for us to live in chaos and in stress, but for us to really just rest in who we are and who we were made to be so that we can serve the world at the greatest level. I pray for peace and calm throughout this webinar, and I thank you for what you're going to do. In your name, amen. Okay. So Miranda is actually new. This is her first webinar that she's ever done. So I am super excited to host her. I have known Miranda for almost a year now, I would say, maybe a little bit less than that. And we've been working together and collaborating together in a coaching relationship, and she is so on fire to knock out her business. So she is psyched to bring this training to you. Miranda has always been in a place in her life where she has been in a coaching or mentoring relationship. She's also always been seen as a leader. She's highly creative, and she comes from working in the nonprofit sector as a program coordinator, and so she has a ton of experience mentoring volunteers and all across the board, from younger generation all the way up to older generation. And so she is in the process of doing some training and launching her coaching business out, and she wants to bring this training to us about how to manage stress. And she has a little bit to say, I'm sure, about how launching a coaching business or launching a new business can kind of bring a little bit of stress into the situation. I will say that I actually never stress, ever. I'm totally stress-free all the time because I'm a really calm person. No, I'm lying. So actually, being a highly creative person, somebody who is high ability, somebody who is gifted in leadership and in seeing the big picture of things automatically qualifies you and me to be in a spot to where we have to deal with a lot of stress. Because we see a lot of what's going on in the world, and we are highly attuned and overly sensitive a lot of times to different moods, to different energy levels, to many different stimulus that's going on around us. We have to be extra careful about how we manage our stress levels, because it's extremely easy with all of that stimulation and oversensitivity, or I would say not oversensitivity, highly sensitive, which has both its pros and its cons. We have to be aware of the fact that we are made that way, and to put things in place that enable us to deal with it, and so that we can keep the positive aspects of being able to be in tune with what's going on around us and to feel what's going on around us and to be empathetic, but to have those boundaries in order to know when to say enough is enough and it's time for me to step back and check out and do what I need to do, but maybe disengage a little bit on the emotional side of things. So if you have been around my trainings for any amount of time, you'll know that I actually specifically work with highly creative, high potential women entrepreneurs who are in the process of either aligning their existing business with who they are, their core gifts and talents, or beginning a business or stepping into the role of an entrepreneur. And how do they navigate that process in order to bring their business online in a big way? So I have the technical expertise and that practical side of it, and then I also have the coaching expertise as far as understanding and knowing what the personality traits are of a high potential person, a high sensitive, high potential gifted person. And I've been studying gifted personalities and people who are highly sensitive and gifted for about let's see, it's about 8 years now, and so I've read hours and hours and countless hours on the subject, and I'm kind of now, over the years, have gotten myself into the industry as far as collaborating and working with some of the other coaches that are out there and therapists that are specifically dedicated to working with highly sensitive, creative people. And besides being one myself and living and growing up with those aspects, I understand very well what that feels like, and how to overcome some of the challenges, and how to reframe the perspective of what it is that needs to be in place to look at life in a different way, so that you can see what you may have thought of as challenges as actual gifts. Because to be a high creative and to be empathetic and to be a leader is a gift, and it's not always looked upon that way when you're a child. So that's kind of a little bit about me and where I come from. I have, again, both sides of that. I can help with the technical side of it, and I also help with the coaching side of helping entrepreneurs that are highly sensitive, high potential, high ability women step into leadership in their lives. So I am going to go ahead now and talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about. Miranda is going to take over and kind of give the agenda on her own side, but once Miranda goes, then I'm going to fill in the gaps a little bit and around maybe some of the things that she might be or doesn't talk about that I had down on my paper, but who knows, she's really, really good at what she does, so she might fill it all up, and then I'll be like, look, you just filled up my whole paper, I don't have anything to talk about. And then we will go into a Q&A, so if you do have any questions, you can put those into the chat on the sidebar of the YouTube video, and those will come through, and we'll be able to see those so that we can answer those for you. And you can put them in now, you can chat with us, ask questions, comments, whatever you like. But let's go ahead and hand it over to Miranda and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What a great introduction, Dawn. Oh, my word. Just so super pumped to be able to present with Dawn. As she mentioned, we have a coaching relationship together. She's really helped me to focus as a creative, as I guess sort of an entrepreneur, but trying to, well, of course I'm an entrepreneur, but I meant as far as not really knowing that about myself, but feeling like, gosh, I'm supposed to be doing bigger things here. And to have somebody come alongside me and really help me to focus and kind of push through my fear. And it's just, what a blessing to have somebody in my life to believe in me and be my cheerleader, but then also help me through some of the technical stuff so that I can actually do it. So thank you, Dawn.
Sure.
For everything you've done for me. But anyway, so today I'm super pumped. So let me just talk a little bit about who I am. I think Dawn did a fabulous job, but let me just introduce myself a little bit. So I was born in California, moved to South Dakota. Yeah, South Dakota, and met my husband, fell in love, did all that fun stuff, and then decided, you know, we want to get out of South Dakota. Love you, South Dakota, but we were in search of other things. And so along the way, we decided, let's stop and see what Northern Idaho has to offer. And my mom and my grandmother were here, and we fell in love with the scenery, fell in love with the people, and I don't know, it was just a really awesome energy that was here. If you've ever been here, if you are here, you know what I'm talking about. Just like a lot of movers and shakers here, and positive people, and a lot of creativity, which I am digging. So fell in love with this place, had a baby. She's 2. Oh my word, she's going to be 3. Anyway, that's a whole nother training.
And she's super cute too, yes.
And, we decided let's stay put. And as I was going along, I found a great job. I've always been, as Dawn said, I've always worked in nonprofit areas, and I've always been a director of some sort of volunteer program. I was raised to volunteer. I've volunteered my entire life from before I can, just forever. And so volunteering is in my blood. And as I, grew up in college, when you kind of have to, I was always the one that was doing it so much. And even now, currently, in my personal life, I'm still volunteering, and I just can't get enough of it. And so it kind of felt natural to move into a position in my career to work with other volunteers, other like-minded people that wanted to give back to the community, that liked to support and help one another, and had that volunteerism, at heart. And I always found myself kind of moving up the ladder pretty quick. And, being on the creative side, I wanted to make things better and more efficient. And then once that happened, I was like, all right, see you later. It's been real, right? And trying to move on to bigger and better things. And so once I got to Northern Idaho, my husband and I have a great job, and I still currently have a great job working 8 to 5 during the day, and still working with volunteers. But I just had that feeling of, gosh, I know that I'm created to do something bigger. I know that my creativity and my energy and my passion is supposed to be funneled or focused in a different area. And anyway, fast forward, met Dawn, and with her help, I realized that my passion is to help other women figure out what they want to be when they grow up, right? Help them figure out what their passion is, what their purpose is, and really get out of the kind of the yucky stuff, the dark stuff that comes along with that. Maybe depression. I know that term gets thrown out a lot nowadays, but I'm just really drawn to those women that maybe are kind of in a dark place, maybe dealing with depression, maybe dealing with, just negative emotional energy, either internal or external, and helping them realize how to break free from that, and then using that positivity to move forward and creating an awesome life, whether that is figuring out what their purpose is and pursuing that, or focusing where they currently are and just rocking it out there. So that's really how I've looked at my current business, Miranda Hofert Life Coach, and having a blast doing it. Gonna launch my website here in the next month or so, and really just rocking and rolling. I have exciting things coming up for 2015. I'm super super pumped. You have no idea. Maybe you do, because I know I talk fast and I get loud and I have all kinds of crazy faces when I get excited. So just super excited about all of that. Now, along with that, again, it was kind of an easy choice to be able to present on the topic of stress, because not only have I lived stress and still do, but I think that resonates well with women wherever you're at, right? I think stress is multi-generational, and no matter where you're at, it touches you in some way. And I feel like, especially nowadays, that we're always trying to combat that and figure out how to stay healthy and how to take care of ourselves externally and internally. So I think it was an easy fit when Dawn asked me to present tonight, to really focus on that. And so I have a couple of goals, a couple of objectives that I hope to kind of target, stay on track. So I will tell them to you so you can keep me on track, Dawn. So I hope that by the end of our training today, you'll be able to define stress. And that might be kind of easy, you think right now, but we'll talk about it. So define stress, and then also to understand how your body handles stress, because it is different for everyone. And I am a firm believer that if you understand how you personally deal with stress and the stressors around you, then you'll be able to then cope with them and find techniques that best suit you. And then, let's see, my third one, of course, I already jumped into that. My third one is how to resolve stress. So you will leave with techniques, that you can kind of play around with, pick and choose, and hopefully you'll find something that will work for you. Let's see. And then, I have an exciting, I have a test that I'll also provide at the end of our training, something that you don't have to share with anybody. It's really cool. It's just kind of a nice little, I guess it's a test. Sometimes when somebody asks, I'll use myself as an example. When somebody asks me, what do you do for a living, or what does your daily routine look like, and is it stressful? My first initial reaction is no. I don't have a stressful life. What? It's so easy peasy. It's great. And then once I start, I'm pretty sure I did this with Dawn. She made me write everything down. What is a daily routine like? What does your daily life look like? All the interruptions, all the responsibilities, good and bad, what is going on? And you start to fill up an entire page. And when you look at it on paper, it's kind of like, oh, holy moly, maybe it is a little stressful, right? And sometimes it takes that visual to really understand what you're dealing with, and then have some empathy on your body, sympathy on your body of geez, look what I'm putting myself through, and then how do I combat that with some self-coping techniques. So that's really the premises behind the little test. And what I'll do is, if you signed up for this webinar, then I'll have your contact information, and I'll be happy to send that out via email. And if not, then you can contact me, and I'll talk about that at the end here. So let's just jump right in so we don't go too far over. So let's just define stress, right? Okay, so the definition that I usually use and that I kind of like is anything that poses a challenge or a threat to our well-being. That's what stress is. So even in the definition, it kind of breaks it up into two paths, right? So the first part, anything that poses a challenge. Now, to me, being a creative and entrepreneur, I love a challenge, right? When I see a challenge, I'm like, bring it on. And then when I don't have a challenge, I'm like, see you later. I'll go find me a challenge, okay? And so, if you're creative and, entrepreneur at heart, or gosh, dare I say it, a woman, then you might feel that way as well. Then the other part of it, the second part, anything that poses a threat to our well-being, right? So there are two different pieces that we're talking about. And I don't know what the technical term is, but I'm just going to say one of them is good stress and one of them is bad stress, okay? That's what we're going to call it today. So first, let's talk about good stress, right? Sometimes, for most people, it's easy to kind of think of good stress. I'll give you some examples. So public speaking, right? Doing a webinar. Those things pose a challenge. Trying new foods. right? Those things pose a challenge, but also bring a little bit of anxiety. When you think of whatever that positive stress is for you, if it gives you the butterflies in your tummy, if it gives you the, clammy hands, if you're starting to do your nervous tick, like biting nails, or for me, I keep doing this to my hair. But anyway.
It looks good. Fabulous.
Yeah, right. Those are my personal ones. Children, right? They can be well, I don't know. That could be a stressor as well. But anyway, grandkids, that sort of thing. Pets. What else, Dawn? Do you have good stress in your life that you can think of?
Yeah, I think anything that has to do with growing my business. I actually try to make a conscious effort to stress myself in that good way by doing something that I'm afraid of every day.
Right.
I don't always remember every day, but that's kind of one of my, mantras, I guess, if I was going to go that way, is to actually create those things in my life.
Right.
But let's see, what else? Kids are a stress to me. As far as good stresses go,
Right.
stress when you're like trying to okay, I'm gonna eat better, and that's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that's bad stress too, but
yes, it is. Yes.
Right, and what we've already talked about before, that because especially for creatives, entrepreneurs, women of any age really, we crave that challenge, and so it may not always feel the best. Right? When you're in it, it's like, oh crap, I hate this, or this is so hard. How do I work this webinar? How do I get onto Hangouts? Oh my word! It might not always feel the best, but because that's how our temperament is, right? As creatives and complex women, because we're craving that challenge, it's stressful, but our bodies have a positive reaction to it. Right? So without getting all, into the I don't know, the stuff that I don't even know about, right? I'm a feeler. I'm the emotional side, but I do know that thanks to the serotonin and dopamine dumps that happen when we're doing something that causes the positive stress, that's a good thing to our body, and that you can tell that it's the good stress because afterwards you're like, oh, let's do that again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, I rocked it, or I loved that, or, that I want more. And so, without that good stress, life would be so boring, right? There'd be nothing pushing us ahead, exactly what Dawn said, I'm glad that you actively look for those things, those good stressors, because, how boring would life be if we're just, complacent and not having any of that fun stuff that gets us motivated to move ahead. So that's good stress. Let's talk about the bad stress. Probably pretty easy for most of us to think of the bad stress, but that's really what we're gonna focus on, because the good stress, you don't necessarily have to work super hard to combat that. We want the good stress, and of course you need to breathe and you need to kind of debrief from the good energy too, but it's not as hard. It comes really naturally to us. Especially with women, because we're so on the go, we're able to switch so quickly that our body doesn't have to react, for an extended period of time, I should say.
Right.
So with the bad stress, so again, it's the stress that undermines both physical and mental health. It doesn't even sound good, obviously, but so let's talk about that. So for me, lack of sleep. Mm-hmm. I know none of you women understand me when I say lack of sleep, right? Whether you have children or not, most creatives, most entrepreneurs at heart, and I say entrepreneurs, maybe you're not, maybe you don't have a business up and going, but you know what I'm saying? I'm talking to you, those that, that was me a couple, 6 months ago, a year ago, feeling like, I need something different, right? You're kind of feeling stuck. You're an entrepreneur. Okay, I'm just going to tell you right now. So I'm talking to you. So the lack of sleep, we just can't turn our brains off. Or maybe our kids are keeping us up if you have kids. Maybe chronic pain. That comes with, so many people, unfortunately, nowadays have that. full-time caregiving, whether that be a child or an adult child or a senior in your life, a family member, that comes with huge stress. Some bad stress for me too is, dare I say it, working my 8 to 5 while also having to try to have the role as a mom and a wife, and the guilt of getting home at a certain time so that I can actually have family time, but then getting to bed and starting all over again. That turns into negative stress. Of course, there's some good stress in there that keeps me motivated to continue, but that bad stress that pulls you down in the negative mind frame, that's the stuff that we're talking about. Any bad stress that, Dawn, you desperately need to talk about?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that comes up with my clients and myself, when I think about the choices that you have to make when you're in business, because that's really my focus, is entrepreneurship specifically. So when you're driven to impact the world in a big way, we have a lot of things that we think about that really are out of our control, I think, because we really want to impact the world, we really want to make a difference, we really want our lives to count for something, and so that leads us into thinking about things and overanalyzing, I think, and so that can be a form of stress, I guess, that I struggle with as a creative, is really shutting that off and saying that's enough for now, The other part I would say is that when you are getting into starting a business, you've got financial problems, not problems, but you've got financial challenges that come up because we all only have so much time. We all only have so much money. The potential is there to make an unlimited amount of money, but you have to have time in order to make money, and the amount of time that you have is directly in relation or proportion to how fast you're able to make money if you're trading your dollars for hours. I don't teach to do that, but when you're starting out, especially when you're getting the systems in place for your business, then you're transitioning from maybe a job or maybe some other type of thing that you're involved in, and there's always that transition period from what it is that I was doing before into stepping into what I'm doing now, and that's a lot of the stress that I see in the clients that I work with as far as financial stress that is tied to time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because that's a perfect transition into my next deal here. What causes stress? So we talked about the different stress in our lives, but we're actually talking about two different things. So the items that cause stress is called a stressor. Okay, so exactly what you're talking about, Dawn, are the stressors in our life. So the theory is the more stressors you have in your life equals the more stress you have in your body, right? And then the more stress you have in your body equals the more sickness, physical pain, emotional pain that you're dealing with, or that you can potentially deal with, right? So a stressor then, like I said, is an agent or stimulus that causes stress. So we already kind of talked a lot about what that would look like. Mainly, what we always kind of go back to and what we forget about, I think especially women, I hear it all the time, is physical stressors, right? We will have a physical ailment that, we just chalk it up to, I slept funny. Or,
right.
I was picking this up, or, those darn high heels, are just making me work, or whatever. And I think a lot of times we forget to actually focus on, it might not be some of these weird random things we create in our head, but it's actually our body reacting to the stressors in our life. So, for example, some physical stressors, illness. Over the holiday break, well, actually, the week of New Year's, I had sickness in the household. I think it was like everywhere, actually. And for me, when I get sick, I slowly start to shut down, but then my brain is like, wait a minute, you can't do that. Who's going to do laundry? who's going to clean, who's going to make that, who's going to, you know, and exactly what you touched on, Dawn, as far as kind of over-analyzing things and being the one that needs to be in control. Weird. Yeah, that I'm sure that's hypothetical for a lot of viewers here, but that's a tough one, you know, and then getting over the guilt of, oh my gosh, I had to take a day or a half a day to kind of give some self-care to myself, and then, you know, having to move past that and power through that. That's always tough. Other physical stressors that I think women kind of are attracted to, or kind of, I guess they are attracted to women, a poor diet. Again, because we're all over the place, we have to be in 15 places at one time, wearing multiple hats, having that sense of control, and, you know, making the world go. We forget about ourselves, and the first thing to go is, did I eat breakfast this morning? No, it's fine. I don't need breakfast. Wait, is it already 1 o'clock? Did I have lunch? Oh, my word. I'm just going to work a little bit longer. Wait, it's 6:30 and the kids are screaming at the door. What, did they think they need dinner? Oh, wait, I haven't eaten either. Right?
I'll eat tomorrow. It's overrated.
Right. You don't need to eat every day multiple times a day. I don't understand that. So that's a huge one. Obviously, our body can't, you know, food is fuel, and obviously our bodies can't continue to move forward effectively if we're not fueling up. Always on the go, I already mentioned that. Lack of sleep, we talked about that one as well. That's just, that plagues me anyway. Injury, pain, especially those that are taking or that have to take any sort of pharmaceuticals, you know, even over-the-counter stuff, it affects you, and that's definitely a stressor. Caffeine. I've tried, I gave up caffeine for a very long time, and now it's starting to seep back into my life. So, but that affects your body awful as well. But other external things as well, unpleasant people. That's what really gets me when I go to a store, a restaurant, and a server or an employer of that location is irritated with me or having a bad day. That for me is a stressor. For some, it's not, and they're able to turn that around and actually leave a positive impact on that person. For me, I kind of add to. I'm going to be honest. We'll just be honest here. I kind of add to the drama sometimes, and I'm like, well, you don't have to be so mean, right? And then later I'm like, oh, maybe they're having a bad day. But that's a stressor for me. I'm taking on that energy and holding on to that. And again, too many of those can cause serious physical and emotional pain. What about a speeding car? I got oh, what is it called? I got cut off today after one of my meetings. And, you know, it's really hard for me to bite my tongue and say, well, that's okay. They're probably just having a bad day. Super tough for me. So
I totally do that.
Like, I know, Dawn, you're so good.
Bless you wherever you go.
That's right. That's right. So hard for me. And again, that becomes that's a stressor, which becomes stress into my body. So we have to think about that. Like I said, I mean, I keep going back to, as women, as creatives, as entrepreneurs, we need to make sure that we understand what stresses us out externally. What are those stressors for me? Because what is a stressor for me isn't going to be the same as what stresses you out, right? So a stressor for me, you know, if my child is at my leg saying, mom, 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 I can totally turn that off. Right? I can totally block that off. But for the next person, they get two moms and they're ready for, you know, the loony bin because they need that out of their head, right? And so it really is helpful to understand and to really focus on, oh, that must be a stressor, right? Your blood temperature or your body temperature goes up. You might get flushed. You might have, you know, clammy hands. Your brow might furrow. Ask people around you. They're going to be the ones to be able to tell you, ooh, that's a button for you. Because you might not know, but it's really, really important for you to understand the stressors in your life so that you can fix it, right? So let's talk a little bit about generational stress. So I believe that every generation from 0 to 110 has some sort of stress in their life, some sort of stressors that cause stress in their body. A little baby is stressed because they're wet and they need a diaper change, or they're hungry and they need a bottle, or whatever. And then, teenager is stressed out because, I don't know, a boy didn't look their way, or whatever. All the way up, okay? But there are some similarities between generationally what we're all kind of dealing with, especially when it comes to women, especially when it comes to productive, creative, high potential women. And I chose a couple that I definitely associate with, so we'll see if you associate with as well. Control over lives and their environment. We already talked about that. Control, control, control. And giving up that control and not trying to overanalyze and delegating, all of that good stuff. Also, having, I think it goes back to the fear of loss of control, right? Not necessarily am I going to, but I don't want somebody to take it away from me, right?
Right.
And then physical strength or coordination, and I think that goes back to our physical stressors, right? Because when something goes wrong, it's like, it's that saying, when it rains, it pours.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a headache, that's going to affect my appetite, which is going to affect my posture, which is going to affect my focus, which is going to affect, and it's a domino effect from there. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big one, obviously, for women as well. A sense of purpose and productivity. Right? That's exactly what we talked about at the beginning. Do you feel like you are purposeful with everything that you do throughout the day? Do you feel like you are doing daily what you were created to do? Do you feel like you have a sense of purpose and that fulfills you? And then are you feeling that, yes, I do feel productive and I feel like I'm doing my purpose, but I'm scared that it will, again, that loss of control, I'm scared that it's going to get taken away from me or I'm going to lose it. Huge, huge, huge for women, especially creative women. Independence, thinking processes, friends, relatives, there's a whole list of things, but those three are are the top ones that really impact me, and I'm assuming they might impact some of you guys too. So, anyway, so let's talk about, let's see. So I also wanted to kind of touch on a little bit of, now that we understand the stressors, we understand stress, hopefully you're thinking of, well, geez, what is the stress in my life and what are the stressors that really impact me personally? Let's talk about how you then react to it, okay? And I'm not talking about how you should react to it, okay? I'm talking about how you currently react to it and whether that works for you or not. Okay, I'm not here to say it does, it works, or it doesn't, but I just really want you to look at, what's going on and can it be better. So there's really, and I know you guys have probably heard this before through school or whatever, but there's really three ways to respond to any sort of stressors out there, which is the fight, can I even say it? Fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, so fight. So as soon as something happens, so if you hear a loud noise, are you going to fight, meaning run towards it, instantly mobilize, ready to attack, so to speak? Are you going to practice flight, which is to retreat, to leave, to hide, to escape, or freeze, like fainting? Of course, I always think of what are those animals? Possums that play dead. I always think of them, that they play dead. Or disappearing in place, right? It's kind of just like freezing, like, oh my word, I hope, it doesn't get me or it doesn't see me or whatever. The way you respond to a challenge could also be a type of stress, okay? So let's unpack that a little bit. So if I am going to if I'm going to freeze because of whatever my stressor is, let's say, a loud noise, or whatever. And I decide that I'm going to freeze. Whatever that does to my physical state is stress in my body instantly, okay? And we talked about the positive stress of the dopamine and their serotonin and all that good stuff, but this is totally different chemicals. This is bad toxins in your body that goes right to your muscles. And what happens is you can tell when you are driving in a car and you start to slide on the ice or the road or something pulls out in front of you and you clench up, and then whenever you are out of that stress, whenever that stress is gone and you know you're safe, you can feel yourself relax. And most of the time, women, it's in our neck and our shoulders and our temples. It goes upward. And what happens is because the cortisol, adrenaline, all of that good stuff, all those chemicals pour into our muscles, they tense up, right? And that obviously is not good for us. So again, going back to the physical state of things, that can cause physical pain. And if we're not addressing what those stressors are, then we're not able to counteract that, and it just continues and continues and continues, and that's what we call chronic pain. So let's talk a little bit. Dawn, do you have an example that you can quick pull from an entrepreneur kind of dealing with some stress in this way, or how they would react to fight, flight, or freeze?
Yeah, I think that when like for instance, you've done really good, but sometimes we, as the entrepreneurs that I dealt with, and as I think back on my own history, the process of becoming visible, which is a big part of what happens within the stages of trying to build a business, especially when you're your own brand. And so a lot of the women that I deal with are women who are building a business, not all, a lot of them, they all are, that building a business around who they are, around their core strengths and their core talents. It's not exactly the same as what they maybe might have done in the past. So a lot of the women that I deal with come from already doing very amazing things, you know, CEOs of, or business owners for 9 years of, you know, multiple employees. And so they're not unaccustomed to taking charge of situations, but when it comes to really getting out there and being seen and laying the core of who you are on the line and presenting that to people and being in the place where you could be rejected, there's a lot of fear that comes around that. And so one of the blocks, I would translate that to being a block as far as the freeze part of that. Or even the flight. So I've seen two different things. One is they just can't, for whatever reason, for quite some time until the block is addressed, overcome that visibility. So they'll talk about, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it takes a very long time for anything to come out of that. And so they're stuck running, you know, a Ferrari engine in a Geo body, and it's all this energy is going, but it's not going anywhere. And a lot of that has to do with that flight or fight place. The other thing that I've seen happen is that they'll just drop out. So if something gets too difficult and a block is presented after the time frame that it gets to, okay, this is what the issue is, and the issue is presented, and they acknowledge that that's what the issue is. If they do choose not to deal with it, or for some reason they're unable to deal with it at that time, then they'll just drop out of the picture until they're able to deal with it. And that would be more like the flight piece of that. So yeah, it definitely comes into my work, for sure.
Right, right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's absolutely correct. And I think that at any point in time, as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as a creative, I can see myself doing, depending on what the situation is, depending on where I am in my life and my situation, depending on my stressors, I can see myself doing all three of those, right? I can do the avoidance or the freeze or the flight with one area in my life, but then I'm running full force ahead in another area of my life. So again, this isn't to make anybody feel guilty. This is really to identify what is going on in your life personally so that you can really evaluate, okay, yep, I know that about myself. I understand that about myself. I forgive myself if that's what needs to happen. And I love myself enough to make it better, make it more effective. I'm all about making things more effective, baby. That's just like what I do, right?
Right.
If it can work better, then let's do it. And I think 100% that needs to start with us, right? If we can get done what we need to get done quicker, easier, less pain on me and others, then let's do it. And I think that's really the main goal of what this looks like. And stress is inevitable. It's going to happen whether we try to control it or not. You know, like I said, the good stress is obviously what drives us forward, like we already talked about. But the bad stress is necessary too. It helps us learn. It helps us grow closer to, fear and our Creator. I definitely believe that, and even though it downright sucks sometimes and I don't want to have to deal with it, it's definitely necessary, and it's truly a blessing because it reshapes you to be more effective. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Oh, I lost my spot on my little notes. Anyway, okay, so what I was going to kind of almost close with, we're almost done here with me. I just wanted to say we all have varying interpretations of what stress is, what stress looks like, and really, at the end of the day, what really matters in our life. That's really what it comes down to, is how we are perceiving the thoughts and the situations that we're in. And that's really going to formulate whether or not it's stressful, and if you're viewing it as a stressor to you. And it just goes down to our thoughts. And I shouldn't say just, because that's super tough, right? Because I understand, well, actually now I understand. Before I didn't, but Dawn helped me to understand, and other creatives and entrepreneurs helped me to understand that, you know what, you can choose your thoughts. Isn't that weird? I think I got that before, but once somebody actually told me that, I'm like, oh, come on. Right? It's kind of like, did you choose to wake up on the right side of the bed? And it really is that easy. As soon as you, have a thought, if a stressor comes your way, because we know it's going to, as soon as it comes your way, you have a choice of what to do with that thought. You keep it, you deal with it, you allow stress to toxify, is that a word? I'm creating that word right now. Toxify your body, or you give it away. You get rid of it, and then you move forward and you learn from it, right? Easier said than done. I totally get that because I'm working on that every day. Amen, Dawn? Amen. We're all working on that every single day. But let's talk a little bit about some affordable ways. I always say affordable ways to de-stress, because I think especially for women, regardless if you have, if you have kiddos or a husband or whatever, if it is going to be costing us money, then for ourselves, right, the chances of us doing it is very slim. So I recognize that in myself, and that's okay. But probably similar in most women. But anyway, so I always like to provide affordable ways to de-stress, because really the only thing that you're giving up is your time, which of course is huge. I'm learning that now as an entrepreneur. But, it's definitely necessary. Self-care is huge. You have to take the time to do it. So just a couple of things. I have like a whole list that I've been kind of compiling for myself, and I would really suggest and encourage that you do that for yourself as well. As you're doing something, take time to actually write it down, or gosh, with technology nowadays, I just got myself a new iPhone, and you can talk into this thing and it'll create a list for you. Pretty sweet, right? So, any way that we can actually get things listed out so that we can actually go back to them and have options, I think that's really going to help moving forward, to help us choose and actually follow through, right? We don't just want to talk about it, we actually want to physically do it. So so one thing that I've really enjoyed doing is stretching. So yoga, okay, I'm into yoga, people, but if you're not, stretching, breathing, meditating, praying, whatever that looks like for you. So a big thing for me is actually even just taking 30 seconds. And I'm not lying. I know people are like, come on, Miranda, 30 seconds, seriously. But I'm serious. So if you actually put both feet flat on the floor, and I hope you guys all do this with me, that would be great. But both feet flat on the floor, and your hands just they can be on your lap, but just comfortable. And then you go from head to toe, and you think to yourself, or you can say it out loud, whatever floats your boat, but you think to yourself or say out loud each body part that needs to let go of negative energy, right, and relax. So for example, I would sit here and close my eyes, and I would think to myself to relax my forehead, to relax my ears, to relax my nose, to relax my jaw, to relax my neck, and so forth, right?
I might fall asleep, Miranda.
I know, it totally does. No joke, this is how I get to sleep some nights, when my brain doesn't shut off, and I have had one heck of a day. This is how I shut it off, and I literally have to go muscle to muscle, body part to body part, and give it permission, I guess I should say, to let go and relax. And you know what? Without fail, by the time I get to like my knees, I don't remember because I've fallen asleep. So that is a huge one. It's a good one to teach our kids too. Side note. So anyway, that's a really nice one that I love to do. Another one for me is to hang out with a funny friend. Hang out with a funny friend. So
that would be me. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, it's Dawn for me.
Yes, obviously.
Somebody that makes you laugh. Not only do you burn calories, hello, I'll take 1 calorie away from my, I would love that. Anyway, so laughter, especially the belly laughs, right? Not only are we burning calories, but we're shedding that negative energy, and it literally, remember we talked about the serotonin and the dopamine dumps.
Oh. Well, we are frozen.
And it literally switches something in your body, and you're able to look at things different. There are studies out there. I wish I can quote one to you, but I've read a lot about that. Laughter, positive energy, all of that good stuff. And it's really hard to sit by yourself and make yourself laugh and get to that place, right? But if you have somebody coming in, and I'm not talking about, okay, well, you know, who can I put up with for a minute? Somebody that is genuinely going to make you belly laugh and that you just love being around. Call them up, even over the phone too. But I love that one. Another one, let's see, I'm just going to look quick at my notes here. Oh, one of my favorites, hello. Crank up the music and dance and sing.
Nice.
If you can't get to your bestie, your funny friend, then this is a great one to do. And this is a good one that I do a lot throughout the day. I'm running around, I'm in my car a lot, and I'm able to turn up the music in my car. I have blacked out windows so nobody can see me, and I just rock out. And not only does it, hey, burn calories, I just thought of that, burns calories, but it also helps your brain, again, get to that happy place so that you're able to move forward. I really love that one. And then, of course, like the free events, getting out and doing something in the community, volunteering, hello, that's the big one for me. Exercising, let's see, how about sleeping, taking a nap, allowing yourself, women, to take a break and take a nap. If you have kids, don't feel guilty about sending them to daycare and staying home and taking a nap. You'll be a better mommy. You'll be a better businesswoman. You'll be able to focus. How about drinking a lot of water? A lot of times that is a stressor, being dehydrated. Drink a ton of water. I read, years ago, that you're supposed to drink half your body weight in ounces of water. For me, that's way too much. That's a lot of water, but it really helps you. It really helps you to focus, and then you're not dealing with any physical ailments as well. So those are just a list of personal things that I, have created my list of. I hope you take that away, but with you, and I really hope that you try some sort of breathing, meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like. That first one that we practiced together, I really hope everybody tries that tonight, because that is a huge one. And even if it helps you just to relax while you're watching TV, it just really helps you to, like Dawn always tells me, to sit and be quiet and receive. Yeah. And that is certainly important to do. So real quick, I know I'm running out of time here, but just wanted to remind you guys, I have a little stress test that actually has a list of different events, and what I want you to do is think about in the past year. So we're starting a new year, right? So now you can look back at 2014 and really focus on what life events happened there, and it allows you to check off the different life events, and next to the life events there's a number, and at the end of the worksheet you tally up your points, and it will show you, again, this is all, I mean, it's all based on what stresses me versus what stresses you. But in general terms, you'll be able to kind of look at this on paper and say, holy crap, my 2014 was stressful, right? And really gauge, moving forward, how are you going to combat that? Some things you can't change because it was just, a death of somebody in your family or around you, a loved one or something. Those things obviously you can't control. That's going to be stress and a stressor for you. But there are other ones on here that, it might not stress me out, but it has a higher number. You know what I'm saying? But so it's more general terms. But like I said, the visual really helps, so that you're like, holy moly, I need to slow down, because once you get into that mode, that domino effect of chronic pain, it's really hard to recover. So, of course, we're all about preventative and slowing down, understanding how your body receives that, and how you can shed and have a happy 2015.
Sweet. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and add in a few things real quickly that I put down. So one of the things that I get a lot of questions on, a lot of things that my clients deal with, and that I hear different high potential women talk about, is about overwhelm. And overwhelm goes right into stress. Overwhelm comes out of stress, and stress, as Miranda talked about, comes from what we allow into our minds, some of which we can control, some of which we can't control. The part that we can control is what we choose to keep in our mind and what we choose to release. And so what I would like to talk about real quickly is just a list of 7 things, because 7 is my favorite number. 7 things that you can do to overcome overwhelm, okay? So the first thing, and Miranda mentioned it a little bit, but I am huge on listening. And so sitting still every morning for 10 minutes, you start out with 10 minutes, or even less than that if you can't do any more than that, if you can't, if it's hard for you to do, which it is a lot of times when you haven't done it before, is to just start with as much as you can do, working up to 10 minutes at least. To just sit and don't talk to anyone, don't do anything. This is not a time that I really necessarily think as praying. It's more about me listening to what's going on in my body, what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my soul, and what's going on in my spirit, and to really understand what it is that I feel God is trying to tell me. It's not for me to talk about, my stuff, but just to sit still and notice and identify and breathe in that 10 minutes and understand and assess myself and where am I at? Where am I at today? How am I feeling today? Where in my body hurts? Well, and then not to think about, okay, well, why does it hurt? Just to say, okay, this is where I'm at, and focusing on listening to yourself and your surroundings and to what God is telling you. The next thing to do, and that actually covers step 1, 2, and 3. So listen, sit, listen, breathe while you're sitting, and identify where is it that I am feeling amiss, whether that's in my body, soul, or spirit. The next thing to do is to release those things. And so by releasing, what I mean is to take out a piece of paper, and I do this in the morning, and I write down everything that is going on in my mind, every negative thought that is coming to my mind, no matter what it is, without any restraint on it at all. It's basically a brain dump and a total list of things that I need to get done that day, things that I don't feel are going right, the things that I feel are going right, every single thing that comes to my mind for a matter of 1, 2, 3 pages in my journal, I will just write straight out. And it kind of just allows you to release where you're at, especially if you've spent the time to sit and download or listen and breathe to where you're at, then you release that out into paper, and it's out of yourself. The next thing to do is to go back to purpose. And I'm huge on purpose, especially in building a business or impacting the world through your purpose, which is essentially being a leader. So once you have sat and you've listened and you've breathed and you've identified and you've released, the next step is to go back to the core of who you are and who you are created to be, and whether or not you are on track to be fulfilling your purpose and what that core thing is. So, and then from there, a lot of the questions that I then get is, okay, well, how do I know what my purpose is? And I had that issue for a very long time, and I used that analogy before when I talked about feeling like I was running a Ferrari engine in a geo body, and it felt like there was 100 horsepower going, and I was digging myself deeper and deeper into the mud, and I didn't feel like I was getting any traction in any direction of where I was trying to go. I felt like I had a purpose and calling on my life to do something to impact my world in a certain way, but I didn't know how to do that, or where to even start, or what were the steps to make that happen. I couldn't even really understand what it was that I was trying to do. I knew it was something big, but what does that mean? That's totally ambiguous. So one of the things that I've been able to do through that process is to use an assessment that I have been trained on that was created by a gentleman named Steve Johnson, and it is through Pathmakers is what it's called, but I've adapted a process to go through that and to take my clients through that to help them to understand what exactly their purpose is. And your purpose is given to you when you are born. You're created with it. It never changes. It's a compass that can help you examine your life and understand if you're on track or not on track. So it's very important to understand what your purpose is. So once you have listened, you've gone through the process of breathing as you're listening, you've identified where in your body, soul, mind, and spirit the issues are at, where you're feeling those are at, and you've released those, you've focused, okay, what is my purpose? So for instance, for me, my purpose is to inspire leaders to now wait, see, I'm going to have to think. It usually rolls off my tongue. I must inspire others to challenge themselves to maximize their potential so that they'll impact the world in a big way. Develop their potential so they'll impact the world in a big way. So I sit and I think, okay, am I on track today with everything that I've released and what I have to do today? Is this in line with who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish in my time on this earth? Is it or isn't it? So once I've done that, then what I'll do is I will create my plan for the day. And we really can only focus on 3 things for the day. We can only have 3 focuses at one time. So on my piece of paper for the day, I'll write down what my 3 focus areas are for that day. And those come out of the different, there's 7 to 10 different life areas that we have. We have our spiritual, we have our relational, we have our spouse, we have our career, we have, I'm not going to remember them all right now. I have them on a piece of paper. You can go to my website and it'll be on there. And to pick 3 of those that I feel need to be my focus for the day. And then once I've chosen those 3, I will write down 3 things underneath those focus areas that I'm going to do towards that particular focus for the day. And that makes up my to-do list. And we really cannot accomplish any more than 10 to-do items that we sit down and put on our list. 10 is really pushing it for the day. So if you have more than 10 items on your list, you might as well count the fact that you're going to have to move some of them to tomorrow. So, and that is not something to stress over. It's just a reality that we live in a time, this plane that we live in right now, our existence is bound by time, and that is it. We have a limited supply of time, and everyone here has a limited supply of time. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you understand what your purpose is and to align your goals and your life and your focus with that purpose. And then the last thing that is just a tip that I have heard a lot from my people recently is I feel so overwhelmed with all of what everybody else is doing online. And so since I help women build their businesses out online, because part of what I'm all about is helping a woman to create a flexible lifestyle and a flexible business that allows them to work when they need to work and to take care of their family, then a lot of it is online. And what comes up a lot of time is you get into what's going on online, you start really moving into social media, you start really doing the things that you need to do to get in the right spaces and networking online, and you start to become completely overwhelmed with what everybody else is doing. And so one of the tips that I give out to my people is that once you understand what it is that you are trying to do with your purpose online is to totally eliminate and bare bones the people that you're listening to. And that means unsubscribing from the emails that you're on and getting out of the groups that you're in. Because once you understand what you're here to do and what your plan is, and you have a strategic plan in place to do it, then there's no reason to take in what everybody else is doing. It only distracts you, and it dilutes your voice. It dilutes who you are and the message that you have been given to carry. And so that's just kind of my one tip, is just protect yourself then. You're going to put up those boundaries and say, no, this is who I am, this is who I'm created to be, this is what I'm here to do, and now I have set up these boundaries around me, and I am only going to allow what I allow to be in it. I'm going to take control over my own space and over my own life and be responsible for what I do and responsible for my calling and for making the impact that I've been given to make in this world. So that's kind of my quick list of 7, because I love 7. So, so yeah, I hope this webinar was helpful to you to understand stress and to put some strategies in place to understand where you're at with stress, and to think about maybe some ways that you can combat that to bring your life and your business to the next level as you look forward to the plans that you've made over holiday break and move into really executing on those plans. Miranda has something that she does want to share. She's working specifically on building her business, as we already talked about, so I'm going to have her talk about that real quickly. We're over here, but we'll finish up right quick. It'll be about another 3 or 4 minutes here.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So I would love to continue this conversation and many others with all of you out there. So you can always contact me on Facebook. My business is Miranda Hofert Life Coaching, so you can find me on all social media venues. My website will be up and coming as well. In the meantime, to kind of jumpstart everything, I have started providing an opportunity, I guess, for you guys to get to know me a little bit and to help me jumpstart my business, and providing a couple of free sessions, free phone sessions. So it's 1 hour phone session with me, and we get to discuss really, well, I would love to get to know you and then discuss any sort of challenges that are going on. Maybe it's stress and you want some resources and techniques, elaborated for you. Personally, that we can tackle. That'd be great. Figuring out your purpose. Maybe you're dealing with some emotional, tough stuff that you would just like somebody alongside you to act as a cheerleader or just a sounding board as well. I would love to be that person for you. And so I've opened up 10 free sessions is what I was going to do. I'm down to only 5 openings. So if you're interested, please let me know. Follow me on Facebook. Get a hold of me on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all that jazz, and sign up because I know that they're going to be filled up fast. So come find me and let's do it.
Yeah, you probably only have a couple weeks of that left, and you'll be done and off and running, and not doing any more free sessions for sure. So, and then I'm just going to add to that. If you are not already in the Facebook Firefly Society group, I have a online mastermind that I offer, which is kind of an entry point into being part of a collaborative group of other creative women who are in the process of building out their businesses in line with their core purpose and their talents, and getting through all those issues as far as visibility and procrastination and overwhelm. And I would love to have you be a part of that. You can find that at facebook.com/groups/Firefly, and Firefly is FYREFLY women, Firefly women. The other thing is I am getting ready to launch the 2015 Sisterhood Mastermind, Ignite Mastermind, which is, it's going to be the second mastermind that I am running for my people. And the first one has been super fabulous. We're finishing it up this month, and what that is it is a limited group of women, of 6 women and myself, and what that group does is it provides you with one-on-one support within the group and group collaboration to get your struggles out there, to have a sounding board, to let other people know, let other women know where you are at, and where your gifts come in, and you can support other women where they may have a deficit. And so it really becomes like a sisterhood, hence the name, and it has resulted in really bringing the participants' businesses to a whole new level, and providing, I think, from the feedback that I've received, just a space that feels safe and something that they couldn't do on their own. And it's really about making an impact and doing it together. And so yeah, that's it. You can find all that information out on my website, which is dawnjacobson.com. And you probably have the spelling of my name, but I'll give it to you anyway. It's DAUNJACOBSEN. So that is it. Anything else for you, Miranda?
No, just thank you so much for the opportunity. I had so much fun, of course, as always. So thanks again.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us. And I will see you on the inside. Bye-bye.
Bye.